Hello, these are the Mega Construx Halo Power Packs, and I'm going to show them to you. These are sold individually, so only one at a time. I'm just covering all four of them in one video because they're all very similar and they're small products. Here, for example, is the Damage Boost Power Pack. Comes with a Centurion Spartan, and the thing on the left is, of course, a Warzone Rec Station. Each one comes with its own exclusive color for the banner at the top, but let's look at the figure first. So what they've done here is try to show the aura of an active power mod on a Spartan. So the damage boost is active here, and it's supposed to be, you know, that glow that you get just a little bit. And yeah, I get what they're going for. You know, they just went with the transparent red for the outer pieces, basically, and then kept it as just the solid black for the main body, except for the hands. They're kind of the odd pieces out. Are the hands. Yeah, I think that from kind of the pattern they were going for, maybe it should have had the transparent red hands as well, but perhaps those would have been a little bit less durable because the material wouldn't have been as soft. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that, but I mean, you know, you get what they're going for looking at this. I personally don't think it's that successful as a figure, but at the very least, you do get these parts, these interesting pieces, and you know, at the very least you can use those parts to create your own special effects to represent somebody, you know, like use just half of them and then half of pieces from another regular Spartan to represent somebody stepping through an energy barrier, or you know, something catching on fire a little bit or something. Like, you know, use your imagination and creativity a little bit. I think that it'll work with that. Just as a standalone thing, the figure, I think, is probably the weakest thing in this pack, just in my personal opinion. Now, the weapon is the end-of-the-line sniper rifle. It's always good to get a weapon with paint applications, and those are pretty decent looking. Go from both sides. Not as crisp and clean as is possible, but you recognize the thing from a distance, and I think it's not too bad. This, to me, though, is a really nice piece. It's actually a couple of pieces. Well, it's actually a few pieces, but it comes in two parts. It's a Warzone Rec Station, and it looks pretty believable. Each one of these has its own unique banner, little holographic banner up on the top, so they give you different colors for them for each set. But yeah, it just looks nice. The yellow isn't applied perfectly on this one in particular, but you can kind of see that as a little bit of wear. Most of it looks pretty good. The mold is really good. Stands up on its own, has a single hollow stud on the top for connecting things, has anti-studs on the underside, and they also have this flat surface back here. It's a 2x3 anti-studded section, so you can attach it to things here. You can attach it to walls if you have studs on the side of your own builds that are sticking out, and this is able to open up. It actually hinges, so that's nice, and they give you plenty of spaces to set up some holders for weapons. And what do they give us? Well, this thing that was at the bottom and upside down is a printed little damage boost mod. It's just an individual piece, has a kind of button head top to it. It's slightly rounded, and yeah, it just has that print on it. So it's just something that you can hold if you want to represent grabbing that boost. Now that's a collectible printed paint applied weapon there, the Magnum with the Lord of the Fries skin applied to it with the French fries. When you look at it up this close, you can see that, you know, the detail isn't absolutely ideal, but from any kind of distance you immediately see exactly what it's supposed to represent. I think that's something a little special. You know, it has its own little piece of the Halo lore now, if you will. And I like the guard in the front there, and the fact that they were able to get the paint application all the way around that with the gunmetal gray. And this is cool. This is bringing over some of the weapon customization from the Call of Duty line into the Halo line. This is an assault rifle with the eruptive skin on it, and it has the detachable bayonet and detachable scope. Check that out. I like it. I like it a lot. So there's how those look more in context and with some slightly different angles. give you a better idea of depth and everything. I really like that bayonet especially. Those are good. See? I really think the figure is the least interesting thing in this set. I like the weapons and the rec station myself. So now that you've seen how one of these packs works, I can go through the rest a little bit more quickly, and this is the Overshield Power Pack. So the Spartan in this one is an operator, and he comes with the Spartan Laser, the most recent version. It has the optional laser line that you can attach into the barrel segment. This is removable. Let's get in closer on that. And this has the paint applications done pretty well to represent the end game version of Spartan Laser. That looks pretty nice, actually. Has a lot of different applications. I mean, it's probably done in just 2 operations, but still, it's pretty nice. You know, they've got some pretty good coverage for the green areas and some nice thin lines for the red. So that all works out really well for me. And then the figure, once again, just has the transparent colored pieces used in the same places. This one has the single paint application of the visor done in the bright metallic silver. This one looks a little bit better to me. Just overall, I think the green works a little bit better. And, you know, totally get it. I think it makes more sense just mentally to have the Overshield have more of an obvious glow like this that almost takes over the appearance of your body. Yeah, I get it, and I like it. It's interesting. This looks a little bit more greenish. The banner especially looks a little bit more greenish on camera than it does in person. In person, it's almost just yellow. I think it's supposed to be more greenish than even you are seeing it. But at least the yellow paint down here is done a little bit better, and everything else is going to be the same. They just swap out this top piece and the color on it. So inside of this one, get another food-related item. It's the assault rifle, this time with the last slice skin applied to it. That's another one that maybe up close doesn't look perfect, but from any kind of distance, you immediately see what it's supposed to be. I think the only thing that would have made this better would have been a darker colored handle, you know, kind of fake handle for the figures to hold on to, because that kind of stands out a little bit to me. But that said, it was a good decision, in my opinion, to use the yellow color, almost school bus yellow color, as the base color for the plastic there, so you get that nice vibrancy throughout most of it. And once again, the scope and bayonet are removable. This Magnum has the full moon skin, so you're supposed to see a wolf there, and it's just too small to be able to see detail like that. So ultimately, from any kind of realistic distance, it just looks like it has a white dot on it. And I mean, that's fine. I still appreciate getting any kind of paint application. Kind of sets them off, makes it a little bit more special, a little bit more collectible. And if you recognize what it is, if you happen to run that skin, then that's all the better more. And there's the little mod button itself for Overshield. It's a little bit darker than I would have expected, but they wanted to get the lighter color that's printed on there to pop, so they needed to add in some contrast, and you are seeing a little bit of glitter there. There is some metallic flake in the plastic. Next up is the Speed Boost pack, and this one comes with a Wetwork Spartan. And this is the one that I was saying looks better than the rest, to me personally. And I'm not into purple at all, but they've got a really nice, slightly magenta of grape purple color that they use for that transparent tint. And I feel like it's a fairly dark color in general, which brings it a little bit closer to the appearance of the bodysuit underneath, and it just feels a little bit more natural to me. It feels like all this kind of goes together a little bit better than on the others. And here for the helmet, for the visor, they went with the print down the center, which is appropriate. It goes all the way up the top of the head with the bright metallic silver color. And the weapon is a variant of railgun called Arc Light. And that one looks pretty good, pretty appropriate. Hopefully that's not washing out too much against the background, but you can see the little UNSC logo on the front, so that's good. Yeah, you just have a good level of detail with this one. White doesn't look all that great in general, to me, but again, from any kind of distance, it looks good. This one just kind of could have used something going down the center to simulate a little bit of darkness just down that center firing canyon or whatever tunnel space, you know, just to make it look a little bit more separated between the upper and lower jaws. Speed boost rec station, yeah, the purple color for the hollow banner thing up on the top. Okay, well, see what's going on there, but let's get it open. And inside, got some more cool stuff. So this is the newest variant of SMG, and this one has the Potence skin on it. And if I remember correctly, this was the very first weapon skin that I got in a rec pack that I actually earned in Halo 5 on like day one. And I liked it. I still like it. I think it's a pretty good looking one. And this is a good looking, tiny little SMG for how small it is. It has a good level of detail. I think the paint application is fine, and being able to add and remove the bayonet and a scope is great. I especially like the notch at the end of the barrel there, and yeah, this is good stuff. By the way, I should have mentioned this earlier, but the tongue and groove system to represent the Picatinny rail here is using the same dimensions, the same specs as the ones that we've gotten on Call of Duty figures before. However, these are inverted, so where the Call of Duty ones use the groove on the receiver or on the weapon itself and then put the tongue part in the accessory like the scope, this is doing the opposite, so they're not exactly compatible in that way. Some of the pieces can be made to fit together, but not necessarily in useful ways. The last weapon that came with the Wetwork Spartan is the Magnum with the scratched skin on it, and that's just one I personally have never used, so I'm not that familiar with it, but has that 80s, 90s at the most, early 90s, more like 80s kind of look. And here's the representation of the Speed Boost power-up itself, which I think is also the best looking of the 4 in this series. And finally we get to the Active Camo Power Pack, which comes with the Helioscrill or Helioscrill Spartan. The color for this guy is not the same as shown in the rendered computer graphics images of the set that we've seen online and that are also used on the box. This is a much greener figure. It's high into the green range of cyan. Aquamarine, maybe you could call it, but it's not that kind of medium true blue, kind of faded true blue that we were seeing before, which is fine. I don't care which way you go with it. I don't recall which one is a little bit closer to real, but this has a really icy look, really icy. It's interesting. The armor set I think is fairly popular. A lot of people liked it when it came out. I haven't played in a while to see just how popular it still is, if it is at all, to this day. But I think this is pretty well done, and I do think that the extreme opacity of the black goes just fine with the very pale, very almost pastelish color. It's an interesting combination. Did not expect this one to work. I expected it to be very awkward to look at, but it's not bad. Actually rather like it. The fuel rod cannon there is the Pool of Radiance, and it looks pretty good. Good choice of the primary color. The paint applications, I think, are good. They're pretty crisp, pretty nicely done. Yeah, I think this is one of the nicer looking figures in this series so far. Let's look at the other stuff. Blue panel up above this time, and that's a little bit closer to the color that's actually shown on the box, but look at the extreme contrast between those two to give you just a little better idea of it. But the important stuff is, of course, again, on the inside. Oh, yes. I am definitely heavily biased in favor of this one myself because the gold standard skin used on this SMG is the skin set that I use on all weapons in-game. This was the skin set that I worked towards, and as soon as I got it, I put it on and haven't taken it off since. It's the nicest gold setup. Kind of comes closest to the steel skin that I used in Halo 4. But also, this being a weapon that's based on just a black color underneath, a black plastic color, it has a certain amount of authenticity and a little bit of realism, even though it is painted over. It just feels a little bit more believable to me, a little bit less toyish. This here is the Fade skin on the Magnum, and this one looks pretty believable. Fade, I think, was one of the launch skins as well, if I remember correctly. I have a feeling that was like the second or third skin of any sort that I got. I think that was also on an SMG at the time, but a good choice of a funky color for the green there. What do you even call that? It's like a seafoam green almost, but yeah, it's right. That's definitely what they should have done, so good on them for the choices. And finally, the active camo power-up itself, and that is the last thing I had to show you, so you can rejoice. I'm done. I'm happy with this concept overall. I like being able to get all of those rec stations. I think they'll be really good for a lot of dioramas for folks who appreciate the Warzone modes, and we obviously get a lot of interesting and hopefully desirable paint applications on some of the weapons. Nice design for the new weapons with the detachable accessories. It's just too bad that they did not make them fully compatible with the stuff from the Call of Duty line, because interchangeability is always great, especially from a brand that is focusing on brick-based construction where you make whatever you want. Let me know what you think about the series on the whole, what you think about the individual elements, and if anything here in particular was especially good looking to you or especially bad. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.